Well, the big game is here. It is the Super Bowl. It is Las Vegas. It is craziness. The Super Bowl is here. It is the San Francisco 49ers against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we are here to preview it. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom on the Audible. Chiefs side first.
Mhm.
Looks like Isaiah Pacheco is going to play. Looks like Jet McKinnon has a possibility to
Yeah.
play. Now, as of this recording, they've opened up the window for Jet McKinnon to play. We'll see if he does. And the latest reports are he actually could be available. It's a nice asset to have for the Chiefs, who, seem to struggle to get here at times, but they're here. They've got Pat Mahomes. They've got Travis Kelce. They've got the power of Chris Jones, who's going to play. All right. I believe, spoiler alert, Bloom, this game comes down to the backfields, plural, which means Pacheco versus McCaffrey might be the tail of the tape, rather than Mahomes versus Brock Purdy. Let's talk about this Chiefs side, though.
Yeah, Mahomes has been outstanding. It's really, how are you the quarterback of a dynasty? Well, you play your best football at the most important times. And really, we can see this now. I don't want to call it rope-a-dope. Do the kids even know about rope-a-dope anymore? Look it up. Last couple of years, or over the last couple of years, we've had different moments in the regular season where we said, oh, the Chiefs are struggling. The Chiefs offense is struggling. How are they going to fix this? What's wrong? Is anybody going to step up? Are they going to find anybody? And this year we did see an answer to that with Rice. But then when it's the playoffs, they don't make mistakes. And I think that is going to be a big determining factor. It's just limiting mistakes. If Kansas City had made one or two more mistakes against Baltimore, they probably would have lost, even though Baltimore made about 10 more mistakes than you're allowed to make and
Right.
still make it to the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
If Detroit hadn't made those mistakes in the second half, then we would probably be talking about them going to the Super Bowl, right? So I think that, for one, you can count on Mahomes, and this is the problem because, hey, Baltimore's defense is the best defense Mahomes is going to face in the playoffs. Okay, in case you didn't get caught up from last weekend, San Francisco's defense was atrocious against Detroit, and the reason that they won was basically a ball that could have been intercepted going off of someone's face mask to a receiver, and in the heat of the emotion of that moment, a fumble, a botched exchange, basically, right? Otherwise, Detroit still probably could have slow played that game into a win. Their defense
Right.
was playing well enough. Brock Purdy only had that one legit drive in the second half. So Mahomes isn't going to give you any freebies. Like you said with Pacheco, Pacheco's going to make you expend a lot of effort, and he's going to allow them to really establish the run. You can't blitz Mahomes, but you can't necessarily let him just sit back and pick you apart either. San Francisco's defense, we haven't seen the impact from Chase Young that we expected. It'd be interesting to see how the free agent market receives him. Nick Bosa's good. Nick Bosa isn't a take over a game good. He's not Myles Garrett. Okay. We're not going to, I don't think, watch, this is what's going to happen. I don't think we're going to have a Super Bowl season where we have Nick Bosa MVP and Nick Bosa gets 3.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles and things like that. It just doesn't happen against Patrick Mahomes. It just doesn't happen. And oh, by the way, Travis Kelce looks like Travis Kelce again. So these factors make it really tough. Now, San Francisco does have some players, Javarius Ward, former Chief. They have Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. They have some players that can make some plays that can swing the game. And maybe if they get one from each of these guys, that can add up. But you can't go in assuming that. Now, Joe Thuney is hurt, significant pec injury. We'll see. It's Super Bowl, so all kinds of things go out the window of whether medically someone would get cleared or if they're allowed to play or they want to play,
Right.
right? It's a Super Bowl.
How much Toradol can you take?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Is the DEA even checking on that stuff anymore? So, I mean, that's a potentially, Javon Kinlaw. Maybe that's a name, Cease, if you're looking on the San Francisco defense as an X factor, a player who could make a big impact and really. Remember, they had that whole situation where they kept Eric Armstead, they traded DeForest Buckner, and they drafted Javon Kinlaw. Maybe it's his time to make an impact. But I think the bottom line when we're talking about Kansas City's offense and San Francisco's defense is no freebies. You're going to have to earn it. And that means that probably to win this game, Cease, they're going to have a flawless game, the Niners, on offense.
Yeah, and Kinlaw middle pressure makes everyone look mortal. So like you can't get to Pat Mahomes, you can't blitz him, but if you can get there with 4, if you can get in
Right.
his face
Ask the
up the middle,
Giants.
right? Right.
Good old
Okay.
beating Brady in the Super Bowl. That's how you win. You win by getting pressure to the
NASCAR.
floor. Yep. The
Mhm.
NASCAR line.
NASCAR package, right. Let's talk about the coaches. Wait till I get to Kyle. Kyle. Let's talk about Andy Reid because of his greatness and hell, they should just hire Ekman to be back. Anyway, the retirement talk is there. And anytime that gets brought up, we've discussed it with Sean McVay or what have you. But anytime this gets brought up, and just that word, once you put it out there, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't go away. Is it 600-pound gorilla, 800-pound gorilla?
Yeah.
Pink elephants? What am I thinking of? It's some sort of animal in the room with you that you can or cannot see. I don't know what I'm saying, Bloom. But the Reed retirement conversation, does that infiltrate its way even subconsciously into like this could be the last game we see Andy Reid coaching in the NFL?
Yeah, and we can't say Cease non-zero chance this is the last game Kelce plays.
Oh, I'd almost say it is. I'd almost say him and his
So
brother go in the Hall of Fame together.
So yeah, I would file this stuff under a what else is there left to accomplish? Cecil Lammey of Denver sports radio fame says you are a dynasty now. So what is there left to accomplish? Really? Why now? What is there left to accomplish, or why do you keep coming back? Because I mean, there's something about football, professional football, that it changes people so that they're only really suitable for professional football. So maybe Andy Reid doesn't leave because what is Andy Reid going to do? But does Andy Reid strike you like that kind of guy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Plus, we could get into his family history and some different things, but it would make sense, maybe win or lose, but certainly win, that you say, okay, what else is there left to accomplish? Why
Mhm.
am I still coming back? And we could get into some crunchy stuff. Are you coming back to avoid something? Are you coming back to avoid thinking about something?
Right.
See, so we could get into something I think you and I could both talk about working to keep from dealing with other things. So this is outside of the realm of football, but certainly some of these things are going into the scale. I don't think it would negatively affect the Chiefs, though. If anything, you would say, well, how did the Chiefs get up for this game? Right? How do they emotionally get up for it? Well, maybe that's how.
Yeah, Andy just says, or maybe they just already know.
Yeah.
I've talked to some people around the building. That's a possibility. So we'll see. And they have the succession plan in place. It's not going to make you happy. It's Nagy.
Sure.
So there, hey everybody. So there you go. There you have it. We'll see about Kansas City and what they do, what they can do in this contest against the San Francisco 49ers. Let's talk about Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo and Brandon and everybody else. Where's George
Hmm.
Kittle at, right?
Hmm.
This offense. We'll get to save the Kyle stuff because the Kyle stuff is fascinating.
Yeah.
Very fascinating. Exercise the demons. But let's talk about the weapons that will be used against Kansas City um, that can be pretty sharp.
Yeah. I think that we want to make this about Kyle Shanahan, and we should make this about Kyle Shanahan, right? This is one of those moments where you say, is Kyle Shanahan going to be like the Dan Marino of head coaches, where everybody says, knows, acknowledges he's one of the best to ever do it? Never got a ring. Never got a ring. For whatever reason, you could tell a lot of different stories about how they never got a ring. And is that going to be Kyle's fate? Is Kyle better off this time around against Kansas City than he was when he had Jimmy Garoppolo? Maybe. And that's the name I think that this game is really going to come down to. It's Brock Purdy. I think that, see, that classic, tell me a statistic and I'll tell you who's going to win the game, right? Which is how many turnovers is Brock Purdy responsible for, I think. If he can go turnover free in this game, they're going to have a chance. All he has to do is execute. Now, what I think is fascinating about looking at Brock Purdy and how he could potentially impact this game is uh, how did he close it out against the Lions? Was it Kyle Shanahan's beautiful scripted plays? Was it George Kittle
It was
and
Brock
Deebo
Purdy
Samuel?
running for his life.
Brock Purdy running for his life, exactly. Exactly. And that is something that Kansas City's defense, because Kansas City, while they've been building this dynasty, have been addressing, they pay Chris Jones. They draft George Karlaftis, who had some big, big moments in the AFC Championship game. They draft Trent McDuffie. That's who the Steelers should have instead of Kenny Pickett. That was the pick. Trent McDuffie was the pick. Steelers, you blew it. Kenny Pickett, really? Yeah, I'm bitter. So you have these players, and then they could sprinkle in, a guy like a Drew Tranquil, some savvy free agent pickups, Justin Reed. They bring in these guys that can make an impact. And how maybe you tilt the field is you give Brock Purdy a little more direct, kind of like Colin Kaepernick, if we're going to talk San Francisco quarterbacks, where it's like, if it's not there, just escape out the back door and keep Kansas City's defense on their toes. So maybe that's an X factor here. But like you said, Cease, actually, if you put this in a game where what is Kyle Shanahan dreaming about or daydreaming about to calm himself down this week, it's a game where Christian McCaffrey touches the ball 30 times. A game like the AFC Championship game, a 17-14 kind of game where his defense plays bend but don't break against Patrick Mahomes. And you really have it still set up by the running game. And we can also circle back lots of potential storylines here. It would have been nice if there was a team we hadn't seen in the Super Bowl recently, but that's okay. We're professionals. The Christian McCaffrey trade. How about that, Cease? How about if the story of this game is don't trade for running backs, don't pay running backs? Nonsense. A running back won the Super Bowl, as you said. A running back might be the key to
Running
this
back
game.
Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah. What's the
And don't
odds
we
on
want to
that?
see Chris McCaffrey? I'm checking my app now, but like, don't we want to see Chris McCaffrey win one? And it's not because I have Chiefs fatigue. I totally have Chiefs fatigue, but like, seriously, that trade, the boldness of the 49ers, right? To make that move. And you mentioned the Jimmy Garoppolo Super Bowl. Well, now it's Brock Purdy, and now it's Christian McCaffrey. So what kind of difference does that make in this game? It could be quite significant. So to me, it's Pacheco versus McCaffrey on Super Sunday.
Yeah, and what do we remember about the Jimmy Garoppolo versus the Chiefs Super Bowl? The missed pass.
Missing Emmanuel
Missing Emmanuel
Sanders wide open that would have won the game.
And with Christian McCaffrey, hopefully you make it so you don't have to hit that pass in the fourth quarter. You don't have to make that play because you're able to ball control. This is, see, we can go back and in some ways reopen and legislate the AFC championship game recap. How in the world? I get it. Greg Roman, Chargers, probably. How in the world can you only have the running backs touches the ball? How many carries do the running backs have in that game? 6 between Gus Edwards and Justice Hill? I think 6 in that game. And that's why the complexion of this game might be different, because Kansas City's offense still is not that scary. Okay. Kansas City's offense is still containable with the Patrick Mahomes asterisk that he can just pull something out. He can create things that seemingly no other quarterback in the league could create, off-platform throws, etc. But how would that Ravens Chiefs AFC Championship game gone differently if Justice Hill had carried the ball 12 times and Gus Edwards 15 times? How would that game have looked? Because we know you can run on the Chiefs.
Right.
That's not going to be lost on the 49ers. That's not going to be lost on Kyle Shanahan. So this could be one of those cases where just the natural mode of the 49ers offense will engage the weakness of the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And then you add in Deebo Samuel making some individual plays. Come on. You talk about see at the end of every Super Bowl, usually you have a moment where you feel, I'm really happy that this guy or these guys got a ring. Oh man, Deebo Samuel is a champion.
Deebo.
He's he's a champion, right? You want to see him get a ring. George Kittle, he's a champion. You want to see him get some of the guys we mentioned on their defense. Fred Warner. I mean, I want a football team with players like Fred Warner, Trent Williams. Here's your key to the San Francisco offense. So I think there are ways that this game could be close, but I also think that the biggest factor looming over this game is how close Kyle Shanahan. I've got the Zulu coconut right here, the 28-3 coconut. Boy, they love 28-3 New Orleans. They'll always
Oh
love it.
yeah. Yeah.
So all of those things, he's like a cinematic presentation, all of those ghosts, all of those things, Emmanuel Sanders, right? Just they lost to the Rams the year that Stafford won. They could have beaten the Rams in the NFC title game. Brock Purdy getting hurt last year against Philadelphia. Is this
Right.
the year that they exercise the demons? I don't think there's going to be set up better to do that than they are this year.
Yeah, well, it's Kyle Shanahan against himself.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, don't get cute. A lot of the times in the postseason, you'll hear me say, you got to do something different. Bill Cowher, you got to do something different. If you're Kyle Shanahan, don't just do what you do. And Purdy, don't turn
Yeah.
the ball over. You can run the
Yeah.
ball, wide zone, it's going to set them up. You can play action, you can bootleg, you can roll out, you can win. It'll be tight. Sphincters will be tight. Sorry, Joe.
Yee. Good word.
It's true. But it's Kyle versus Kyle. And for the Shanahan family, I would love to see another Shanahan championship.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that he's earned it. Again,
This league is built on Shanahan coaches
it's in the DNA of everything. So
everywhere.
it's just, I think it'll just come down to execution and limiting mistakes. And I think for San Francisco fans, what's making you not feel good is, unlike Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy is not playing his best football in the playoffs. Brock Purdy, yeah, he put together the drive to win in the divisional round against Green Bay. So that wasn't supposed to be that close. You weren't supposed to need a drive from Brock Purdy in the last seconds at home to win against Green Bay. And Brock Purdy, frankly, they won in spite of Brock Purdy against Detroit, not because of Brock Purdy. So we're going to watch this. But like you said, Cease, maybe the best way to keep that from mattering is put the ball in Christian McCaffrey's hands.
Well, I'm picking San Francisco. And we'll see. Like, I'm not picking it confidently. Did we ever find out what the odds are on Christian McCaffrey's Super Bowl MVP?
I don't
Yeah.
know. 3-1,
Whatever.
4-1. I don't know.
Whatever they are. You're fine. Everybody's fine. Yeah, I'm going to go with the 49ers. I like that story. I just don't feel confident in picking the 49ers.
This is tough because, Cease, I don't know. I'm an old man, so I don't even know how much of my prognostication is based on. I don't want another Chiefs Super Bowl, really? Another one, really? No. I mean, is there even anybody on the Chiefs? I don't even have to go back and look and see who the free agents they got. Drew Tranquil, I don't know. I mean, they get a few free agents who probably came to the Chiefs so they'd have a chance to win a Super Bowl. That's right. so that all works out. Plus 475, so about 5-1 for McCaffrey to win the Super Bowl MVP. I think this is one of those situations, Cease, where probably halfway into the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, we're going to know whether this is going to be a game that is very winnable for San Francisco, or whether the emotional, psychological side is a little too much for them. Because that's the problem with beating the Chiefs in the playoffs now, right? Unless you're Joe Burrow, okay? I mean, how do you beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? Yeah, okay, Patrick Mahomes is hurt. Let's really break this down. When the Chiefs have lost in the playoffs, how did they lose? Well, against Tampa Bay, Patrick Mahomes was just hurt. I mean, he just wasn't Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Joe Burrow has that thing in him where he doesn't have that little seed of self-doubt or ghosts, right? Joe Burrow was the quarterback for the most successful college football season ever, or at least the most successful offensive college football season ever. So he has complete belief in self, right? He took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl. When the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in overtime, that first AFC Championship game, Chris Jones got hurt. he wasn't there on it, right? If Chris Jones wasn't hurt, who knows
Right.
what happens, right? So, we can step through all of these things, and to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs is hard. It is very difficult. And you're talking about a San Francisco team that is not playing their best football. They could have lost to Green Bay. They should have lost to Detroit. They're going to lose to the Chiefs.
Wow. Wow. Was it Frank Clark that was offsides in the playoffs for the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, here we go. Super Bowl time. Everyone enjoy the big game. And enjoy us on YouTube. We're not going anywhere. We're here for you during the entire off season. So make sure you help us out with the YouTube overlords and like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. We appreciate you all as always. He is Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammey saying thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.